People on the outside do not know what evil is.
Do you know what evil is?
Sure.
Are you evil?
Somewhat. You believe what you want to believe. I told you how I killed, why I killed. You don't want to believe it? That's up to you.
What happened in Vietnam?
I ain't saying. I told you I wouldn't talk about that. Yeah, I went to Vietnam as a weapons specialist. And I had my own bunker and just outside of Con Tum, Vietnam, Central Highlands. When she backed out, I come up behind her and took her head right there. It took a couple of hits, but the head came off. She body dropped to the ground, she just bled out. Opened up a pouch and I had some C4, plastic explosives, lit a cigarette, just touched it, and it started lit up like a miniature sun. And I just laid the flesh up on top of that stick, right? And I bit into the flesh itself, you know, just staring at her eyes, and she urinated and defecated on herself. And she talked to me in broken English, so she told me everything I wanted to know. I go in, I reported in, saluted the colonel, and he gets up and he says, "You're one sick son of a bitch, but I love you."
Shawcross blames his crimes on post-traumatic stress disorder, the result of horrific experiences in the Vietnam War. Michael Stone is a psychologist who interviewed Shawcross about these experiences.
His stories all involve heroic exploits, like you would see in some B movie. The one he told me, for example, there was a girl with a belt of grenades around her, and he managed to, subdue her and behead her and stick her head on a post, as if a warning to the others, don't mess with me.
But Shawcross saw no combat in Vietnam at all. He was only responsible for handing out uniforms to other soldiers.
The military taught you how to kill, didn't teach you how to stop.
It is in Vietnam where he says he first tasted human flesh.
Well, I took 2 heads off 2 female enemies, and I don't know why, but I took the left leg from the knees to the hip, and had a little fire, and I was cooking that leg.
He also says he was haunted by what he had seen and done during the war.
I had like nightmares all the time.
You don't remember anyone's name?
No.
How long were you there for?
13 months.
What was your official position in Vietnam?
I was a specialist, weapons specialist.
We were able to actually track down in preparation his commanding officer, Sergeant, I think I even remember his name, Sergeant Weaver. He was a supply clerk. He didn't go out on these secret missions.
I'm not a bullshitter. Anything I tell you is facts of life.
He told shocking stories of sexual abuse and cannibalism.
No.
But his accounts didn't always match up, and some questioned their validity.
Do guys like this lie? Absolutely.
Shawcross claims that starting at a young age, he was sexually abused by his mother and one of her friends.
Things happened in my house when I was 4, 7, 9, between my mother and who I thought was my aunt, was my mother's girlfriend, right?
He also claims he had sex with his sisters.
Me and Jeannie, we were 9 or 10, and I'd do things with Jeannie. I did it once with Donna, once with my cousin Sandra, a couple of times with my cousin Linda.
He wrote to one of his psychiatrists to have engaged in sexual acts with a wide variety of not only people but animals.
But all of Shawcross's family members have vigorously denied the allegations.
He claimed to be abused by a wide variety of individuals. The only one's word for that was Arthur Shawcross.
What happened in Vietnam?
A lot of things happened in Vietnam. My mother gave me oral sex. She performed oral sex on me for several years. Then when I was 14 years old, I did intercourse, and I ran away.
Your mom has obviously denied that anything like that happened.
Everyone would. Can you picture what would happen to a person if she admitted she did shit like that to me?
I mean, they've said, you know, ask Arthur Shawcross, say, well, there was no sexual abuse when you were younger.
How they know? I know, because I was there. I know what I had to go through.
Well, they say they checked all the medical records.
I didn't have medical records when my mother was abusing me. You think my mother took me to a doctor because she was giving me oral sex? That's bullshit.
During the trial, I received a call from his mother. She questioned, why is he saying these things? Why are they claiming these things?
One thing, however, remains a taboo subject: the killing of the 2 children in Watertown. You're prepared to talk about what happened in Vietnam and killing all these prostitutes. But I'm just wondering why you're prepared to talk about it and not Watertown.
I don't want to talk about it. You say one more question, I leave.
What did you do to young Karen Hill?
That was a fit of anger. You know, we spent a day down at Turning Point Park, you know, feeding the ducks and walking around, and we were making out. Then she just flipped, you know, jumped up, says, I'm going to scream, I'm going to tell the cops. I snapped her neck. Stayed there all day until dark. Then split her open from her neck to her groin. I didn't go all the way deep into the stomach area, just split her open. I don't know why.
How did you kill her?
Strangled her. Mostly my left hand.
Well, so you strangled them with just one hand?
Right there. Pressure point.
She was found with her head removed.
That's right.
How did that happen?
Easy, just pick it up and move it.
What, you just pull the head off?
Yeah, it was already off.
All right, why are you holding your penis?
I ain't saying. My mother gave me oral sex. Oral sex. Oral sex.
He claimed his mother put a broom handle, inserted it into his anus, and shoved it up, was his description.
He had indeed worked.
That clearly would have resulted in major trauma. There was no evidence of any such trauma.
Is it because you're ashamed of it?
It's disconnect.
He would slam his fist on the desk and get very angry, and he would just erupt. He said, I don't do prostitutes. I don't hang out with prostitutes. He said, I've never been with a prostitute.
Shawcross got in their car, and they drove to the place where the prostitute said she and Shawcross had sex.
I said, do you recall having sex with a prostitute at this location? He said, oh yeah, just once, I forgot.
Having caught Shawcross in a lie, the investigators headed to the Rochester Police Department to interrogate him further.
You did Liz Gibson, didn't you?
No, I didn't.
Come on, Art, don't bullshit us. We know you did.
I don't know what you guys are talking about.
Come on, Art, it's all over. We know. Bard saw you with Gibson.
You were seen with that woman 11 hours before she shows up dead. Is that a coincidence? Is that what you're trying to tell us?
Coincidence.
Come on, Art, we know it's you. Now, we treated you well, right?
Why are you guys fucking with me? Why are you guys fucking with me? Why are you guys fucking with me?
All right, Art, calm down.
Confronting Shawcross hasn't worked. The investigators need to come up with a new tactic, and quick.
This is a horrible thought, but I mean, if someone were to, you know, rape and kill your grandchildren, what should happen to them?
I ain't saying.
What was your official position in Vietnam?
I was a specialist, weapons specialist. It's disconnect. It's disconnect. It's disconnect. This is over. My mother gave me oral sex. My mother gave me oral sex. My mother gave me oral sex. Disconnect. This is over.
There would be some event, very often some disagreement or some threat to him where the woman may have said, "I'll tell your wife about this," or something. And then he would see bright, bright white light. And then the next thing he'd know, he would wake up. And he would wake up often in his car, and he would look beside him and there would be a body. He did not have conscious knowledge of what he was doing or conscious control over what he was doing.
Do you remember killing her?
Yeah, possibly. We're not going into details here.
No, but how did you kill her?
Probably strangulation.
How do you know when they're dead?
How? I don't know, just do. More or less after they just relax. The body relaxes, doesn't fight no more.